Chapter 14, The Children of Ibrahim. They began taking turns reading the Torah, until they started getting sleepy. Blase, an elderly man walked down towards them. Don't be alarmed. Hearing the voice, Everyone jumped up and looked at Wanyenyekevu. Wanyenyekevu smiled. He can't be at that. He didn't say anything. Jonathan said, "No, he tells us, it has to be at that." They watched the old man as he descended from the stairs. "No, I am not at that," said the old man. "He had to say if you were, before he approached." He was entertained about that only when he started stabbing into the air with the forks, pointing at Jonathan. "Until you started reading the Torah. We also read it, but it has us confused at times." Jonathan shook his head. "Oh hell, not another only with his old ass shit. He's the only that snuck up on us, and asking us if we're at that." The old man continued, "No disrespect, young man. We saw you coming to town after you touched the fraud." The man pointed to some cameras hidden throughout the plate. "These are Kuminasitak infrared cameras, and they are platted throughout the city. We thought you would just pass on through, but when you came to this plate, we worried for a bit. Anakatas nor Wakatilians are never seen together, and we were baffled." Jome asked, "Fraud? Hold up. We?" The old man walked down the steps. "The fraud is the rundown dome that covers the city, and yes, we many stayed after the relocation, and as time passed, many of their children and their children's children left. It was just a handful of us for a while, but now it's just me children and myself. Come, let me introduce you to the rest." He takes them upstairs to the elevators. Wanyenyekevu had never been on an elevator and had never been so high before. The elevator seemed to drop a bit before moving upward, creating butterflies in his stomach. In his mind, he counts the floors and watches through the clear glass elevator doors. Jonathan looked at the old man pointing to Wanyenyekevu. "He ain't been no here before," the old man said with a smile. "Neither have I." Raising his eyebrows, Jonathan said, "You have never left the city at all." The old man shook his head and simply replied, "No, I was born and raised right here in this city, my father and mother, and their mothers and fathers. I will die here as well." Wanyenyekevu interrupts them. "How high does this machine go up?" The old man laughs. 3,164 stories, but we share the entire 200 floor, the rest is empty." Wanyenyekevu turns around, slowly counting the numbers on the elevator window. 165, 166. Jome grabs Wanyenyekevu by the shoulders, pointing to the horizon. "Don't think about the height. Look out at the beautiful sunset, the purple and orange skies, just beautiful. Looking beyond the city and the landscape." "Yeah." Wanyenyekevu starts to speak when a bell rings, and he starts looking around. Jome laughs, "Say, we're here." They exited the elevators and entered a large white room. At the end of the room were 3 hallways, one to the right, one to the left, and one directly ahead of them. Standing there in amazement in the center of the room with all smiles stood 6 people. "This is where," said Jonathan with great enthusiasm as he kept staring at one of the women standing there. Jome and Wanyenyekevu looked at each other and raised their eyebrows as he continued. "How in the—" Jonathan caught himself before he could, but he continued, "How did you manage to live here all these years with just a handful of y'all?" Jome turned to Jonathan. "How did we?" Jonathan just smiled. Jome whispered to Wanyenyekevu. This boy is acting strange. Wanyenyekevu sauti young lady Jonathan kept staring at, well, she is beautiful. The old man walked out in front of them. These are my children, pointing to each one. This is Alpha Prime Egg-3, Alpha Prime Egg-4, Alpha Prime Egg-5, Alpha Prime Egg-6, Alpha Prime Egg-7, Alpha Prime Egg-8, and the little man is Alpha Prime 16-6, and im Alpha Prime Egg-1. Jonathan snapped out of it and sighed, wait. What? Alpha Prime? Jome and wanyenyekevu looked at him. What the? Jonathan sighed as he continued. Have you ever heard of someone named Alpha Prime? Wanyenyekevu sighed, have you ever heard of someone named wanyenyekevu? Jonathan sighed, but they sound like nomenclatures to me. I don't care what you say. Shaking his head with a smile, Jome sighed, please forgive the rudeness again. He punched Jonathan in the shoulder. My name is Jome, this is my little brother Jonathan, and this is our friend Wanyenyekevu. Jonathan shook his head, but we call him Y. Wanyenyekevu smiled as he noticed Jome had finally pronounced his name right. Jonathan walked toward Alpha Prime Egg-7, I am John. Jome grabbed him by his collar and whispered in his ear. Bring your ass back here and act civilized. The youngest Alpha Prime 16-6 said to them, we are you not Alpha or Beta or P. Excuse the little man, as always. Filled with questions. The old man Alpha Prime Egg-1 said, grabbing Alpha Prime 16-6 by the hand his. Been with us since his mother died a few years back. Please, there are many questions for all of us to ask. Let's get some rest and talk in the morning. Walking toward the edge of the large room, do you prefer separate rooms or one room for all of you? Asked Alpha Prime Egg-1. Please, one room for us all. We do not want to put you out. Said Wanyenyekevu. Alpha Prime Egg-1 held up his arms. We have the entire floor. In fact, the entire building. There is no way you could, as you say, put us out. They all laughed. Entering an enormous room, there is nothing here, said Jonathan. Please stand within this white square, said Alpha Prime Egg-1 as he pointed down toward the square directly in front of the door's entrance. He continued as he started pressing buttons. In this room, we have the jungle. Within a second, the entire room looked exactly like the jungle. He continued pressing the buttons as the scanner changed. Desert, New York, Miami, the Wild West, the South. Wanyenyekevu stopped him, that's it, the South. The view reminded him of home. Walking outside the square, he touched the trees and bushes, then turned around with a smile toward Jome and Jonathan. If it's ok with you two, and if y'all don't mind me enjoying a little taste of home, he said, thinking, as he took a deep breath, it's been a while, I guess I'm homesick. No problem, said Jome, we need to look after the horses before we call it a night tog. Please, by all means, please bring them up, said Alpha Prime Egg-1. Wanyenyekevu had a funny feeling in his stomach. Jonathan laughed at Wanyenyekevu, saying that he wanted nothing to do with that elevator again. Illegal, my friend. Wanyenyekevu, raising his eyebrows, whispered, my friend, what is he? As he looked at Jome, they both smiled. Alpha Prime Egg-3 and Alpha Prime Egg-4 simultaneously shouted, we will go help you. Alpha Prime Egg-1 smiled, they haven't seen any animals other than the ones we treated within here. Alpha Prime Egg-4, eager to retrieve the horses, almost knocked down Jome, running toward the elevator and pushed the button. Alpha prime ig-3 side to alpha prime ig-4, be careful, you almost knocked him over. He looked at Jome, so sorry, she really loves horses. Is it all rigged? Jonathan quickly replied, yeah, of course, it's ok. Standing in the elevator, alpha prime 8-4 looked at Jome, I'm sorry. As she demanded to Jonathan, let's go. As the elevator closed, alpha prime 8-6 asked Jome and Wanyenyekevu, do you want a tent or a cabin? I can even plake a castle in here, handing Jome a remote. This is a real time emulator, set the perimeters and time here, or you can set it to dissolve or even switch. The conversation was too much for Wanyenyekevu as Jome started talking about what Wanyenyekevu calls tech talk. Wanyenyekevu walked toward alpha prime ig-one, alpha prime ig-5, and little alpha prime 16-6, we will be out of your hair first thing in the morning. I just wanted to thank you for the hospitality. Alpha prime ig-on side, no problem, but I would like to ask a favor of you. Wanyenyekevu side, Sura, what is it? Alpha prime ig-on side, take me children with you. Shocked, Wanyenyekevu side, oi. I thought you very happy here. Alpha prime ig-on replied, I'm 87 years old, and I'm just too old, and they need to live their life as normal as it can get for them. This is not a life to live. I had to get old, to realize my great-grandfather refused to join the others when they left. My children are mentally slow be at least 10 years, or how should I put it? They are younger than they are. They are behind in everything. I don't have a long, and I want them to get away from here and have a normal life, but with someone safe and who won't take advantage of them. Wanyenyekevu scratched his head, I'm heading west to Arizona, and computers are not welcome, or shall I say, not expected to live that way. It's dangerous, and I don't see how they can make it with me or anyone else at that. Alpha prime ig-on replied, I can change their clothes to be as close to a cotillion as possible, and you can give them names, we have all kinds of self-defense instruments, applications, and equipment. All you need to say is that they are mentally ill children. Wanyenyekevu interrupted, they are not really mentally ill, are they? I cannot go around lying, my friend. Alpha prime ig-on interrupted Wanyenyekevu, you will not be lying for in the real world, when it comes to reasoning, problem-solving, decision-making, and their cognitive skills they are lacking outside these walls. They would make it if the world were a computer, we both. No, that's not so. That's a mental disability to me, because their entire world has been virtual, plus I'm dying and need your help to give me children a real life. Grabbing Wanyenyekevu by the shoulder, I have a good feeling about you, my friend. Smiling, Wanyenyekevu said, in that case, it would be my pleasure. But now I need to ask you for a favor. Alpha prime ig-on replied, Sura, how can I help you? Wanyenyekevu said in a reassuring voice. You said you have a Taurus. I need one for everyone, let's say 9 smaller ones, so we don't have to keep passing mine around. Alpha prime ig-on smiled out of relief. That's all. Not even a problem. After everyone finally settled in for the night, Wanyenyekevu talked about the old man's request. He did not speak to Jome or Jonathan about it but prayed to about 4 hours before he fell asleep. Confused and worried about the situation yet still hundreds of miles from his destination now, he's no longer alone but has egged additional people, and neither one is Wakatilian. Here he is with the people his people are trying to avoid. What to name these people? Can they defend themselves? What will the Wakatilian nation think of them? Questions just flowed through Wanyenyekevu's head as he finally fell asleep. He hears a loud voice, "Behold, your most trustworthy warriors, who shall stand by your side and never forsake you, your army, your warriors of Sabaoth." Wanyenyekevu saw at least 50 Wakatilian warriors dressed in war paint and ready for battle. Their names were called out as the voice introduced them. Jome, war chief, Jonathan and Elisha, intelligence and tech support warriors. Not noticing at first, he looked again. Elisha was Alpha Prime Ig-6. Wanyenyekevu smiled. The voice continued, "Elijah, a skilled scout, it was Alpha Prime Ig-3. The names and faces continued. Grate, mercy and joy, medical, surveillance warriors, and great hunters, it was the Alpha Prime Daughters. The last names were called, and little Alpha Prime Ig-10-6 told. Daniel, the prophet of Sabaoth, and Obe, a great warrior of Sabaoth, Wanyenyekevu said, "Obe. I have never seen his face before," the voice said, "You will, very soon." Wanyenyekevu said to himself as he woke from sleep, and he still heard the voice as clear as when he was asleep. The voice was of Mlezi, the messenger of Sabaoth. "There will be 12, but for now, you must go to Kabalolake." Everyone was still asleep in the digital cabin that Jonathan had made for them. While King outside to the hologram of Louisiana, Wanyenyekevu said to himself, "It looks just like a home, but where are the mosquitoes? Where is the smell of the morning dew? Where is the early morning cool breeze?" As he walked around for a minute and observed the rest of the scenery, "It's beautiful, but this is just an illusion of the truth." Grabbing his pen and pad, he wrote, "Can you explain? To all the scientists, can you explain? Tell me how this world came to be. Telling me about this Big Bang theory. That's silly, saying we all came from a pest that evolved into man. You talk like a fool, no matter how many years you went to school. Some things you have done, I totally disagree. I stand here, rigged here, no with the sun. And he is with me. A copy of the original. Not bad if I say so myself. Talking to Resto Duplicate still didn't get it rigged, then you say that you don't believe in God. Can you explain? To this, I do agree. You have gone astray. You are trying to change the planet's destiny. Cloning of people and animals, you will have your day. Is it not rigged? Can you explain? Chemical warfare to help win wars and destroys life. While you figged, you want to explain life. Tell us how to live a long life, just to destroy life. Can you explain? What kind of fool are you? A lot of things you're always trying to explain. Explain this, you said life was created by a single tail. If that's the case, tell me, who gave life to that tail? Can you explain? How long will it take for you to believe? When you reach that place called hell? Say the fate of your maker, when it's too late. Yes, you might be able to predict the weather. But you're not always rigged. You say it's going to be sunny today, but look outside. Do you see the rain? Can you explain? Do you feel the pain? The wrath of the Almighty, I think you're the one going insane. Trying to explain. Exiting the room into the hallway, he noted Alpha Prime Ig-one and all his children were dressed like Wakatilians. Wanyenyekevu laughed for a bit, ten smiled as he fitted their clothing, no, you look like wakatilians. Then he told them all to stand in a line by their ages. Just then, Jome and Jonathan walked in on them. Wanyenyekevu, you ready to go? Jome said. Wanyenyekevu held up a finger, on a moment, please, since we all are here, please let's bow our head in prayer. Everyone stopped and bowed their head as Wanyenyekevu smiled again, tugged about his drum, and began praying. Sabaoth, please hear a prayer from your humble servant. We are here to take upon a journey in your holy and blessed name. Here we stand, some confused and unlearned, but we know we shall stand through faith in you. We trust in Msheka, whom we have a redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. Here stands. Walking toward Alpa Prime, 8-one, and his children, he took out a small bottle of oil that he had blessed and platted some on his hands and rubbed them together. He put his hand on Alpa Prime 8-3 for a head. Alpa Prime 8-3, now your name is Elijah. He continued to each one of the children of Alpa Prime 8-one. Alpa Prime 8-4, your name is no grate. Alpa Prime 8-5, your name is no mercy. Alpa Prime 8-6, your name is no Elisha. Alpa Prime 8-7, your name is no joy. Smiling from ear to ear, little Alpa Prime 16-6 said, me turn. Wanyenyekevu smiled back at Alpa Prime 16-6. Yes, Alpa Prime 18-6, your name is no Daniel, not only a warrior, you shall be a prophet for the Most High. Wanyenyekevu then turns to Alpa Prime 8-one, for this is the day you have been waiting for so long to say, and Sabaoth has seen your heart, and he is blessed to take your children because now they are his, and they shall be great in his name. He grabbed his bottle of oil and blessed Alpa Prime 8-one, Alpa Prime 8-one from this moment forward, you shall be called Ibrahim. He walked toward the two brothers and asked Jome to pour the oil on his hands. Will you do me the honor, as he looked into Jome's eyes and smiled. Jome poured the oil into his hands, he then platted each hand on the brothers, warriors and leaders for Sabaoth. He concluded his prayer as he hugged Daniel, in your holy name, Amen. Looking at everyone, he said, you finish a prayer by saying Amen or Selah, and everyone said Amen. Jome and Jonathan were in a bit of shock as they pulled Wanyenyekevu to the side. Jome said, These people can't fight, they like children, they will die or get us killed at the first sign of trouble. Wanyenyekevu smiled and said to Jome, These children, as you call them, will be great and powerful warriors of the Almighty, alongside you two in battle. Jome had a puzzled look on his face at what Wanyenyekevu had just said. Jonathan was mad and said out loud, Shit. Man damn hell. Shaking his head, he said. Look. Wanyenyekevu and Jome looked toward Jonathan. What? Holding up his middle finger and smiling, Jonathan continued, Fuck you. No, really. Listen, Alpa Prime 8-, Elisha, whatever your damn name is. I'm glad you guys changed your names because I wasn't going to tell you 16-9 or whatever your names were, and whose size anyways, couldn't you have a point instead? You know, point 3, but no, you'll got a damn dash. Wanyenyekevu looked at Jonathan and asked, Have I not shown you I have a gift? You too shall receive a gift, and it will be from Sabaoth. Trust me when I say he has blessed our union, and it will serve a great purpose. Jonathan calmed down, for he did trust Wanyenyekevu, and deep down, he wanted to know Sabaoth. Jonathan. Ten pointed at Elisha, och, I will hang with him, westaed uprete late last niget, and wetalked about some of the technologitei. Had here, we can take some along with us, plus my behek knows what to do with some of the other stuff we got off of our dead friends. Jome went back over to Elisha and asked about some of the instruments and equipment. But he held the bag up, way ahead of you. Plus a few extras. Jome and wanyenyekevu walked off to discuss details while Jonathan and Elisha went over what to bring along with them. After their lengthy discussion, Jome and wanyenyekevu joined the rest and gathered their belongings and personal items. They finally organized their things, platted them on the horses, and were ready to enter the elevator. Mercy pushed the button, and the doors opened. I'll hold your hand so you won't be afraid, said Grate to wanyenyekevu. Jonathan looked at Joy and nervously sighed. I just want to hold your hands. Joy smiled, Sura. Ibrahim walked up to wanyenyekevu with tears in his eyes, hugged him, and whispered in his ear. I never knew of a God until now. The very first time I have ever asked God for anything was a few weeks back, and I asked him to bring a man of God to come to take my children to give them a life with him. He has given me just that rogue. Yo, thank you. After the goodbyes, hugs, kisses, and crying, they all headed down the elevator. On the outside, everyone got on a horse. Oh, here is my horse, said Daniel. Wanyenyekevu said, You'll ride with me, little man. Wanyenyekevu then turned to Jonathan, say, there was a reason we had these extra horses, no, we need to go to Kabalolake. Pulling out one of his new toys, Jonathan said, Kabalolake is due north, however, Tutson is west. Wanyenyekevu said, I was told we need to go there first. Jome asked, told you home? Wanyenyekevu said, I will explain later. Jonathan shook his head, everything will always be explained later with this man. They headed north. Wanyenyekevu and Jome led the group, followed in pairs by Mercy and Joy, then Elijah and Grate and Jonathan and Elisha, who carried the rear. Jonathan and Elisha were doing more talking about technology than anything else along the way. Jome had never seen his brother talk to anyone so much other than himself, as he looked back at his brother. He smiled, turning to wanyenyekevu. I've never seen Jonathan so serious with anyone before. Besides me, wanyenyekevu replied. He found himself a little brother, Jome sighed. I guess so. 3 hours into their journey, they heard a large and loud explosion that shook the ground behind them. Turning around, the children started crying, for they could say that their father had destroyed the entire city as they saw buildings falling from the skies. Standing there while the children of Ibrahim tried, wanyenyekevu, Jome, and Jonathan didn't say a word until they were ready to move on. They had traveled 4 miles before anyone said anything. He always said that he never wanted us to live like them, said Grate. He even told me on a time you can camouflage a lie, but it will always be a lie, and he wanted us to say what the truth was. They continued to talk amongst themselves before Jonathan realized they hadn't eaten all day. Less than a mile from Kabalolake, Jonathan complained, we have been traveling all day now, and haven't eaten a thing. Wanyenyekevu's mind wasn't on what Jonathan had said, for he started thinking about home. I don't have any idea why people stay in such a place. Back home, there is plenty of trees, grass, rivers, and lakes, and there is always something you can eat. Pretty much by walking down a trail, you will see something to eat, you don't always have it. Jonathan interrupted him, fuck that shit, man. I'm so fucking hungry now, right now. there is always wild rabbits or snakes in these parts, if nothing else. Jome stopped his horse and pointed to the north, just under a mile is Caballo Lake. If it hasn't dried up, we can stop there and rest a bit, but your ass needs to stop being a rude, crying as little bitch. What happens to that Jonathan is out back at last truques? I want him. Pointing at Jonathan, Jome continued, not this surely. When Inikevu smiled at Jome as the rest looked at them with confusion, Jonathan doesn't bother me, he say a great heart in his stupidity. Already embarrassed by his brother, Jonathan got offended by what when Inikevu had said. My brother can call me stupid, but I don't know you well enough for you to be calling me stupid motherfucker. When Inikevu climbed off his horse and winked his eye at Jome, if it walks like a duck, quack like a duck, it must be what? A duck? You talk stupid with your foul mouth and walk around looking stupid, so you must be what? Stupid? No furious at Inikevu, Jonathan jumps off his horse, charges at him with all his might, and throws a punch. When Inikevu dogged his punch, and Jonathan fell to the ground. When Inikevu taunted him, never use all of your body weight to punch someone, and remember that there is something called gravity. Jumping up, Jonathan brushed himself and ran at Inikevu. When Inikevu took on a step to the rig and pushed Jonathan lightly, and he fell flat on his face. Your center of gravity is off. Jonathan grabs a stick lying on the ground. Shoulders should never tell a person when or where you are going to attack. When Inikevu said, Jonathan was about to swing. Rigged, no left, rigged, rigged. When Inikevu started calling out which side he would attack from, and Jonathan stopped and switched, but he was calling it out as he was about to attack. Jonathan threw the stick down, I'm not stupid, surely. When Inikevu laugs, no, you're dumb. They all laug. Jome then took Jonathan by the shoulders. Grow up, little brother is all I'm asking. We must take care of our new family, and you're always complaining, stop it. Pointing at Ibrahim's children. No, Ibrahim's family depends on us to take them somewhere safe. We have a responsibility to take care of them, like I have a responsibility to take care of you. When Inikevu smiled and excused himself, you guys gone ahead, I'll meet you at the lake. I will do the hunting this time, we don't yell finally got rogue the rest of the lot we got off the dead men and say what we can use, cause that ondoa mia nane na tisini was something else. How do the snakes taste out here? I'm still tired of rabbit. Walking toward the field, he continued, bit away, let's not use that cube thing, let's take advantage of the lake and the cold wind that's out tonight. Jome pointed out to Inikevu by shouting, Caballo Lake is a lake. Remember, we have to be extra careful, no because animals need water too. We have snakes, scorpions, and things like that can kill us while sleeping. Digging through the bags, he continued, but when Inikevu was long gone. Oh, I say those men have air mattresses, well use these tonight. Turning and yelling at Jonathan, hey, Jonathan, chargeteb ondoa mia nane na tisini upu when we get there, ain't no telling if we'll need it again. Once they arrived at the lake, Elijah, the eldest son of Ibrahim, approached Jome, we are not totally useless, let us help. And we have plenty of supplies ourselves. Apologetically, Jome said, no, I'm sorry, that is not what it is. We're just so used to being the three of us, please join in as needed. As a matter of fact, prep these air mattresses in a circle, 3 in the middle for your sisters and little Daniel, and leave the rest for us, outside of them. Wanyenyekevu travels a few yards and says a wolf, not knowing if it was mlezi or not, he hesitantly says mlezi. The wolf looked at him and ran away. This is coyote territory. Wanyenyekevu said as he turned around, and there was mlezi. A visitor shall come to say, your son, don't be afraid, for he is a servant of Sabaoth, just as you are, not only a servant but a prophet, therefore respect him, for Msheka taught him. Scratching the teeny hairs he was growing on his face. Wanyenyekevu said, I'm not afraid of no man, why would I be afraid? Wanyenyekevu blinked, and mlezi smiled and then disappeared, but he still heard his voice. I prepared a feast for you near the southernmost part of the lake. You will say it be the big rocks. Wanyenyekevu walked to the edge of the lake, and there, before his eyes, are 4 large baskets. He looked inside of them, and indeed it was a feast. He carefully grabs the baskets and meets up with the rest of his party. Where in the hell did you get that shit from? Jome said in excitement, you need to be the only one hunting from now on. Wanyenyekevu laugs. The ancient Mfariji, messenger of Sabaoth, mlezi. How many air mattresses do we have? Asked Wanyenyekevu, looking at Jome, I'll tell you all about mlezi wile we at. Still slightly frustrated, he hears someone say, Eget. It was Jonathan sarcastically speaking. Wanyenyekevu laughed, lay them down on the ground, and let's start blowing them up, we'll need all of them. Jonathan ran, grabbed one from the kirtle, was dumb, no. Seriously, blow them up. You're still in ancient times, I say. Grabbing a small stainless steel square from me. He pushed a black button, and a twin-sized mattress that resembled a sleeping bag was floating 3 feet above the ground. Wanyenyekevu started to speak, but Jonathan said, Wake now. Wake now. Sabaoth is able. Jonathan grabs another one, pointing to the buttons. These colors represent the size you want. Black is twin, blue is full, pink is queen, and red is king size. Then he flipped it over. This is for a guess, you might say super size. Wanyenyekevu took the devike. Black is super size, pushing the black button. No. No, black is twin, super size is the only button on the bottom. Jome said, but it was too late. Wanyenyekevu had released the devike, and a bed appeared, he laughed, goodness. Jome took the first mattress and inflated it, then gave on to the rest, here you go, pick the size you want for you, and little Daniel can share on. They chose the super size mattresses that Wanyenyekevu had accidentally inflated as their table. They surrounded it and ate. The children of Ibrahim looked at each other with a puzzled look on their faces, for they didn't say anything familiar in the baskets, and the eldest brother spoke up, the only thing we recognize is the silverware, what is this? Jonathan jumped up. What is it? It's authentic food, not that pasta shit you guys serve. Filling up his plate as he called out the meal. You got your mashed potatoes with gravy sauté, licking his fingers from the sauté that dripped onto his fingers as he continued. You got roasted chicken with potatoes, carrots, and peas and corn on the cob with butter. Oh boy, I haven't seen or tasted meal like this since I was. Jome started to speak, but tears rushed from his eyes. This is taking a deep breath. This is our last meal as a family, and it tastes just like our mother's cooking. Jonathan couldn't remember, but he started crying as well. Jome stopped crying, but the tears continued to flow from his eyes. There is no way, I can't say any possible way that you could have gotten a meal like this and in the middle of the desert. Wanyenyekevu was speechless at first, for he did not know that the meal was crucial to the brothers. He did know that, but whatever's about has for us, we must do you were just strangers to me, anakatas, at that, and me being alone wakatilian. It reminds me of a prophet in Acts. Jome interrupted, what's Acts? Achiti. Wanyenyekevu said, no, it's a book in the Torah. We ping the tears from his eyes, anyways, this book is about a man named Saul, who is fighting a battle between his brothers, about who is righteous and who is not because of how they were born. Back then, it was between Jews and Gentiles. Now, it's us. I am convinced. We are to journey together, we are brothers and sisters, we are truly a family in Sabbath. Having a lump in his throat, he blows out a hard breath, looks at everyone, and briefly explains to them about Yael, Mlezi, and Msheka and many things that have been happening to them. How they met were not a mere coincidence. He briefly explained the Torah and quickly said, Uhilelo king at Jome and Jonathan. You know we got to start reading the Torah all over again because of our new family. Elijah insisted they didn't, but Jome and Jonathan looked at him. No, let's start from the beginning.